In this video, we'll take a look at a tool known as the sample tool. Now, the sample tool allows us to perform 6 types of data sampling, and we'll be seeing each of them in action in this video. So let's first of all drag in an input tool onto the canvas. And for this example, we'll switch things up a bit and connect to the US President's dataset that I've also included in the resources section. What we will then do is connect a sample tool to the output of the input tool. Okay, so the first thing we can see is, as expected, the sample tool configuration window, in which we have to set a few settings to influence the output we want to observe. So let's start by selecting the sample type called first n rows. As you've probably guessed, the first n rows will obtain a predefined number of rows from your dataset in the order in which the data feeds through from the input tool. So let's set n equal to 5 in this example. If we add a browse tool to the output of the sample tool and then run the workflow, you can see that we get the first 5 records that you can see from the output anchor of the input tool. Now, the order the dataset comes in from the input tool can obviously be changed by using the sort tool, for example, for which we can then sample the first n rows of a newly ordered dataset if we have the need. So layering up different tools can lead to different ways of observing data. The next sample type is known as the last n rows, and this performs a very similar operation. The last n rows will collect the last amount of rows that you specify from the input data. So if I change 5 to 3, you can see when I rerun the workflow that we get the final 3 records from the US President's dataset, which refer to Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. Now, there is an optional configuration we're able to define, which is the group by column. I'm going to introduce this now as I feel it's easier to digest and observe the resulting output. So if we were to group by party in this instance, and also switch the sample type back to first n rows, what the sample tool will do is first group by the party name, i.e. it will observe all the unique values that exist within the party column, and it will then return the first n rows, in this instance 3 records for each party, in the order they come in from the input data tool. So if we take a look in the raw dataset and predict what records we will see, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, and James K. Polk are the first 3 records for the Democratic Party. I would then expect to see Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and James Monroe for the Democratic Republican Party. Now, where there are not 3 records for a given party, for example, Federalist, which only appears once, we will only observe one name, i.e. John Adams in this example. So if we now run the workflow and observe the output, we do indeed get 3 records back for each party, where there are 3, and they appear in the order they come through in the dataset. So group by can be used with any sampling tool to bring back a sample across a grouped dataset. Okay, so moving on to observe the other sample types, we have the skip first rows. This type will ignore the first n rows that you select in the output. So if I ungroup everything and set this equal to 10, when we rerun the workflow, you will see in the output that the first 10 rows have been ignored and the index starts at 11. If I then group by the party field, the first 10 records for each party will be ignored, and because we only have the Republican and Democratic parties with more than 10 representatives in the dataset, we only get presidents 11 onwards for each party respectively. So skip first n rows will ignore the amount of records you've stipulated in the output. Okay, so moving on, selecting one of every n rows will simply select a row with equal increments. So not grouping and setting this to 10 will mean we get a result which shows index 1, then 11, then 21, and so on in our output. If I had grouped this by party, we would get 1 every 10 rows for each party. So if I rerun the workflow, you can see that we therefore only show a couple of Democratic and Republican Party presidents and then one for every other party, as they do not have 10 presidents to iterate through. Okay, so moving on to the 1 in n chance to include each row. This is where we can obtain an output that is predicated on chance rather than stipulating a more controlled sample. So if we set this equal to 10, the rows in our dataset will be randomly chosen at a rate of 1 in 10. In other words, there is a 10% chance of the row being selected. So the key thing to note here is that as this is predicated on a probability stipulated by the user, you will not end up with the same result each time. In fact, you will not consistently end up with the same amount of records. So if I run the workflow a few times, you will see the amount of records that I get back changes on occasions, with different names populated. So this is a nice way of being able to randomize your sample. And finally, we have the first n% of rows, which returns a percentage of rows back from the input data. So if we left this as 10, we will obtain the first 10% of rows, which on a dataset size of 44 will result in a result set of 4 records, in the order they come in from the input dataset. So hopefully this has been useful in seeing multiple sample types we have available. Using in conjunction with other tools can allow for specific parts of your datasets to feed through to subsequent stages of your workflows. So sampling is obviously very good when you're working with large datasets and want to restrict the amount of records that feed through, as well as being very useful when testing outputs across subsets of your data.